PD Beats here from Pop Turner, speaking to Logan Allen about season 4 of Sweet Magnolias, dropping February 6th worldwide on Netflix. Welcome back to the show, man. As always, it's always good to see you.
Yeah, what's going on, brother? It's funny. I was looking at some of our old interviews because we've done a lot, and I look so different each time, man. I come back, I'm a whole new person, bro. So this is just adding to it. I love it.
Absolutely. Every time a new season of Sweet Magnolias hits, it's going to be crazy. When would you say it started to kind of officially sink in how global the show was? Because season one, it's equal playing field for everyone, right? Like, you've never played this character before, we've never seen it. But like, would you say like maybe season two, season three, or even season one, you were like, wow, like it exploded online? Like, what did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, we saw the impacts right from season one.
Yeah.
Obviously came out during COVID, everyone was locked in their homes, and I think a show that's about family, community, friendships, and those relationships and how important that connection is. I think people needed that in that time, right? Being locked in their homes. So, I think it was a perfect time for it to come out. We came out right after Outer Banks, I believe, season one, and yeah, we blew up. I think the moment that I realized that we were big was I've gotten like personalized stuff from different countries. Like someone from Brazil sent me a Brazilian soccer jersey with my name on the back. I'm like, this is pretty dope, man. So yeah, just that and just being out of my everyday life and people coming up, like people taking my order at a fast food place or something. They're like, hey, I love the show. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I love it. So yeah, man, just seeing how worldwide it is. I get people DMing me from every country imaginable, countries I didn't even know existed, and they're hitting me up, and I'm like, it's awesome, man. Just getting those DMs. So I would say there wasn't really a specific moment, but right from season one, man, I knew it was something special.
Absolutely. You've done it 4 times now, that script to screen journey with Sweet Magnolias, right? Like at some point you get the scripts, you dial in, you know what I mean? Different people have different ways of doing it. Maybe you're dialing in with some music and going over everything, and then you read table reads and all that stuff. So I'm curious, one, for season 4, what is that script to screen journey like for you? Like reading everything that happens and seeing it come to life on screen. And has it changed over the years, that script to screen journey, or is it always the same kind of feeling each season?
Yeah, PD, I think, a lot of it is kind of the same thing, playing the same character. That's one of my favorite parts is playing a character over the span of 5 years now. We did season one, or 6 years. Oh my God, we did season one in 2019. So yeah, I think every journey is kind of similar, but it definitely has its differences. Like this season in particular, I think it's about Kyle going into becoming a young adult, right? Kind of going into finding who he is and finding himself. And I think that's something that I mean, me being, I'm turning 21 this year. I've done that recently, and I'm doing that right now, still discovering myself and making these discoveries every day. And we follow Kyle take on these new responsibilities of becoming adult. Him having to mature with these relationships and friendships, and I think this season in particular, when it comes to that, script to screen journey, I think it hit home the most because Kyle's going through this point in his life that I just went through and I am going through, and I connected with him on a lot of different ways.
Absolutely. I think the show has everything, like a lot for everyone, but I think like, what I recently spoke to JoAnna about this too. I mean, the heart and the family and friends is kind of always going to be the focal point of this show. Is that your attitude every time you come back to a season of Sweet Magnolias? There might be some crazy things happen, characters might change and everything, but it's
Yeah.
always kind of that family show as the focal point, right?
You know why that is, PD? It's because off camera and just around set, that's what the vibe is. I mean, I'm sure JoAnna might even mention the same thing. Like, I've never been part of a set or part of a production where everyone gets along. You walk around on set and it feels like a big family, and that really starts at the top with Cheryl Anderson, our showrunner, and of course Norman Buckley and Dan Paulson. Everyone at the top built such a beautiful family, and every casting is perfect, and every crew member. It's weird because every season we obviously have a lot of new crew members and a lot of old crew members, but even the new people, they feel so welcomed right away, and they become part of the family so quickly, and I think that says a lot about the show. So yes, kind of to go back to your point, I think that is why the show is so successful, right? Because it's a show about community, friendships, love, whatever, and that's genuinely what that is the feeling of the set is like off of the camera and just around the set. So I think that really attributes to the success of the show.
It's so funny. I don't know because like you brought up in the beginning of the interview like the 3 interviews we did before this and how you changed each one. Like I remember the first one we did was like, and you look at this one, it is a big change. I think your hair was so much different too, like longer too.
Dude. Dude, I had a whole mop on my head, dude. I look like a sheepdog, man.
Well,
Because it's
you
funny.
just I'm pretty sure too for the first interview, you just did like you just wrapped Creep Show and then you just did like that dolphin movie too.
Dude,
Or
I did 3 projects in a row, went from project to project to project,
for
and
the
yes, it
first interview
was.
because I remember there was like a lot to talk about and then season
Yeah.
2 you came on, you were kind of mean and didn't tell me about a big project that you were working on and then
Turned out
season
to be
3
Stranger Things. Yeah. Yeah, and then we had
I
season
remember
three.
that.
No,
I remember at some point you being like, I don't know if it's on camera or not, but you were like, thanks, man. Like, good to see you. Like, I can't wait to talk to you about future projects. And like, you were like teasing.
yeah, man. Yeah, that was an exciting time. That whole story's crazy though, Petey. So when I actually auditioned for Stranger Things, it was a year and a half before I got on the set.
Yeah.
And that's because I auditioned for it, COVID hit, we were
Yep.
gonna film, then the whole production schedule for Stranger Things season 4 got flipped. So
Yeah.
they did everything last first and then did
Hmm.
everything at the beginning of the season last.
Yeah.
And so it was like literally a whole year and a half.
But
And
it's
I
exciting
thought they moved
too.
on.
It's exciting too to think about you are always part of that binge now. Anytime someone ever wants to binge Stranger Things, like you show up in some season 4 episodes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're gonna be like, who's this jerk, dude, throwing milkshakes on people? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
great.
it's kind of like one of those things where it's like that's a crazy feeling, right? Like you've been in 2 massive Netflix shows with massive followings. Like there's not much more to say. Like it's pretty crazy, right?
It's unbelievable, man. And yeah, I think Netflix has the best fan bases. It's so wide and it's crazy. People are like, how's the fan base in America? It's amazing, but really the amount of love that we get from Brazil
Yeah.
is unbelievable. That's another country that is just, I mean, the amount of love they show. So, like I said, really just getting especially Stranger Things. That's on a whole different level. Being on
Oh yeah.
that set compared to anything else, I was like, whoa, dude! It felt like I was on set of a blockbuster movie from like the '90s. You look everywhere, there's just star after star, and yeah, that was a very exciting or very fun experience, and I always remember it. And the reception afterwards, people hated me, dude. I got so many DMs being like, "Why did you bully 11?" It was great. It's so
Yeah,
funny.
it's so crazy. And then getting back to Sweet Magnolias, I want to ask because I don't want to go into big spoilers about this season, but it's kind of like every season of this show has surprises, has some cliffhangers, has some questions people want to answer. So you've been part of this 3 times, right? Where someone watches Sweet Magnolias, waits for it to come back for another season, it comes back, then they have all these like, you know, guesses and theories, right, about what happens next type thing. So you've been doing this 3 times now, right? So I'm wondering, with that being said, knowing how like passionate and how sometimes the audience members like detective, are you ever conscious of the audience member watching Sweet Magnolias while you make it? Or is that something that happens a little bit after you wrap, so to speak?
Nah, I don't really think. I mean, there's moments where, I'm sure you've seen the season, so some of there's some big character moments with relationships and stuff that I think people are really gonna enjoy. And it's like, yeah, during that, we have moments where we're like, oh my God, dude, they're gonna love this. But during the like, it's just for a split second. I think being present is huge. I mean, being one of the biggest things about acting is, you don't want to think about how the audience is going to perceive it because the
No.
audience is going to be aware of that. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be living in these circumstances that you're thrown into as an actor and just play the truth and live in that. And yeah, so you can't be too aware of it. But there are some moments where we're like, dude, let's take a picture of this real quick because I cannot wait for it to come out. Dude, I have like hundreds of BTS that I want to post that I can't do it just yet. But yeah, I don't think it's a major part. I just think there's little moments here and there where we're like, this is going to be fun.
Absolutely. And well, naturally, you just try not to. I mean, your job as an actor is to go in, do the lines, do the work, get in the mood, and go home,
Exactly.
right? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
um, it's crazy because I've started kind of making films as well, so I think about this a little bit too now. Can you speak a little bit about the mindsets going project to project? Like, how separate are past projects for you compared to something like this? Like, you went and worked on some Stranger Things, right? Do you take mindsets and preparations from Stranger Things to the next season of Sweet Magnolias, or are they all separate once you wrap them specifically?
I think you take something from each project you work on and each season of a show. I think one of the hardest challenges I faced when it comes to Sweet Magnolias is playing a character over the span of 6 years. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, you go from Sweet Magnolias and you go play a bully in Stranger Things, but you got to come back and play, Kyle again. So it's about getting back in the mindset of that character in a show, PD, that doesn't have many time jumps
No.
doesn't have any in the first 3 seasons. So it's like, okay, so you really got to jump into the continuity of this character. And a lot of people think that acting, they don't realize one of the main jobs of an actor is also to know where in the story you are, because
Yeah.
you film all out of order. You're filming,
Hmm.
for example, I've done movies where you literally film the ending and then you go back and do all the exposition in the beginning and the climax and all that before the resolution. So it's like you got to have that mindset and know where you are, what your character knows. Try not to anticipate. That's a big one. Just live in that spontaneous nature of what's happening in the moment. So yeah, I think, just to answer your question, yeah, you take a lot from each and every project, but I think you also have to be open to you know, uh, accepting those lessons you learn, and also talking to as many people. When you work on a show like Sweet Magnolias and Stranger Things, you have these actors that have been in the industry for years, and they know the industry, all its ins and outs. And so just talking with people like JoAnna, like Justin, like Chris Klein, like there's so many people, Heather, Headley, Brooke, Elliott. There's so many actors and actresses I've worked with that you can pick their brains, and actors are very open people, and you can really learn a lot by just having a conversation.
Absolutely. And then last kind of question before wrapping up, and I think this is gonna be a good opportunity. This is a good kind of like teaser for season four because, walking on eggshells, don't want to give big things away. But I think this would be the way how you answer these questions are really gonna set up things without saying what happens. But what were your as a because like you're on the show as an actor playing Kyle, right? But like you're also fans of the show too, right? Like you're a fan of the writing and like all the characters and everything. So what questions is like Logan Allen, what questions do you have after season three? Like even before getting scripts for season four, and what Kyle questions do you have specifically in regards to his relationships, his school, like what are those things that you're kind of like asking yourself,
Mm,
you know what I mean, before season four drops?
mm. One character that's so ominous and all the way up to season four, I think is Chef Eric, man. He's one of my favorite characters, and it's like there's such a backstory with his previous family, like that they dove into, I think, in season two, season three. But I feel like there's a lot to that character. Of course, you have the whole thing with him and Helen in the previous seasons, and that whole thing with Ryan and all that. So I think just wanting to see where that goes is a big question that I had going into season four. I think of course, the big reveal with Isaac.
Yeah.
That's a huge one, right? Where is that gonna go? You might find out in season four, with everyone's figuring that out. So I think those couple questions have been big for me. Now, when it comes to Kyle, what questions did I have at the end of season three? This is I see what you're doing with these questions. I think
It's a
you
good
know
refresher. Sometimes it takes a while in between. That's why
it
it's like
does. It
some people
does.
sometimes are doing that. There's answer the question and then I'll tell you I know like what afterwards because like I don't want to cut
Yeah,
you
for
off, but
sure.
like there's a theory
Okay.
people have been doing because sometimes you have to wait a while in between seasons.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
dude, yeah, it's like a year and a half, which is
Yeah.
kind of what I was talking about with that continuity
Yeah.
and jumping back into the character. Yeah, and I think with Kyle, how is he, when is he going to learn about the Isaac thing and how is he going to react? And I think another thing too is, um, um, I, Kyle, I mean, there's some cliffhangers at the end of season three. There's not a big one like the car crash or anything, but it's like, okay, how is Kyle going to grow as a person as he gets older? Ty is obviously on his own journeys, right? As we see at the end of season three, like what is he gonna do? Where is he gonna go with this whole thing? Obviously kind of goes away from the baseball thing. Is that gonna stay consistent? What's going on with that? I think how is Kyle going to support the people around him? How is he going to react to all the different changes in the family and the people around him? I think is a big question that I have because Kyle's always in the center of everything, so it's fun to see him react to all the different choices and drama created.
Absolutely. I can't wait for people to check out season 4 of Sweet Magnolias dropping worldwide on Netflix February 6th. Always good to see you again, man. Thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure.
Your Instagram is just your name if people want to keep up to date with everything, right?
Yeah, ITS, it's Logan Allen on Instagram. Just pop right up. Go follow me there. I'll be posting all kinds of BTS, man. All kinds of behind the scenes. So y'all be ready.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Pop Turnitive, youtube.com/PopTurnitive for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Logan Allen, who plays Kyle and Sweet Magnolias, and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnitive. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnitive on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.